Robin Hensel, 807 First Street Southeast. Last council meeting, I was glad to hear 3 different council people bring up the issue of Short, Elliott, and Hendrickson being requested to be hired to complete a facility plan proposed at a cost of $56,500 without letting this out for bids. I think that's just wrong, for one thing, and I think that may be a big conflict of interest. This August, the people from La Bourget, France will be coming here to visit. Sister Cities International was created in 1956 at President Dwight D. Eisenhower's White House Summit on Citizen Diplomacy, where he envisioned a network that would be a champion for peace and prosperity from different communities around the world. By forming these relationships, President Eisenhower reasoned that people from different cultures could understand, appreciate, and celebrate their differences while building partnerships that would lessen the chance of new conflicts. In all the dozens of city meetings I've attended during the last 4.5 years, not within the last year, but prior to that, of the local city-sponsored, city-funded Sister City group, championing peace was never once discussed. It's shameful that there's no commemoration of peace anywhere in this town. Why doesn't Little Falls have a peace park? I asked the library board to fly a donated world peace flag that I would donate, and even that was not allowed. The former mayor's husband thought it might be considered too political. In a town that's this close proximity to this nation's largest military base in the whole Midwest, in my opinion, it's just downright disgraceful that we're not in some way commemorating peace. Why wouldn't we want to do that? To show our soldiers that we want to keep them out of harm. Why is peace controversial? When Dwight D. Eisenhower formed this committee, this international group for championing peace, and yet that's not really done. How in the world can conflicts ever be stopped or minimized if something like this program isn't enhanced, if we don't discuss world peace? And why can't we achieve that? And you know what? It starts right here. It starts at Little Falls and it goes all the way to Washington and beyond. The Kelly-Beyond Peace Pact was signed in Paris, France, a very close proximity to La Bourget. 1928, Senator Frank Kellogg from here in Minnesota and Aristide Briand signed that peace pact. It's actually law on the books
Time's up, Robin.
today.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Hearing none, we'll move on to regular agenda items. Volunteer firefighter pension. Mike and Craig.
Here, how do you?
That's fine.
Mike Lemire, 17267 Gross Road, Little Falls.
Craig Sealand, 602 5th Street, Southwest Little Falls.
Mayor, Council, thanks for having us here before you tonight. Relief Association and the Little Falls Fire Department has 36 active members. And it's a non-profit organization designed for the benefits of the volunteer firemen. And our pensions, as our pensions increase, it's time to come before the council to ask for your blessing in giving ourselves an increase in our benefits. Right now we're approximately 116% funded. If we increase our per man year from $3,000 per man year to $3,400, we'll be at 103% funded. That means we'll have projected more income than the deficits. But in order for us, we would like to get the blessing of the council before we give ourselves a raise. We have 36 members, 36 active members in our department. They pay membership dues every year. You have to have at least 10 years in the department to be 60% vested, and it goes up 4% every year until 20. At 20 years, you're 100% vested. And I'm open to any questions that you might have.
Do you have any questions for you guys?
I don't, like, does anything that you're talking about have to do with your wage per hour? Because that seems kind of low on the list of them also.
No, and, you know, that's always been an issue, but we prefer to have the blessing on our benefits more than we like a wage increase. That's the way we've always been, and so far we're going to continue down that road. But thank you for
Just wanted to
noticing.
ask.
Yeah, thank you for noticing.
Mr. President, I just had a comment, just to speak to the quality of the people we have on the fire department and chief and the entire department, how fortunate we are. And I think it's displayed some by the townships that keep asking to get on board with our services. So I think that's a compliment to all you guys. And also, I brought up before that I would have to be part of the interviewing for 6 additional volunteers, and it was rather incredible to see the quality of people that applied for those positions. And I think there was originally 19 or so, and then when we whittled it down to 12, there was 12 still high quality people that I've been comfortable with any of them saving me or my house or my family. So the quality that we have in this community is really fortunate.
Thanks for that.
I was at a meeting when the investment firm was presenting where they're going with their futures here. And that thought crossed my mind also. You know, these guys are putting in more time and stuff because of doing more for other areas like Fort Ripley. And $7 an hour isn't that much, but most of these guys are coming in there because they're working towards their retirement, and that's a very important thing to them. And I feel in order to get the good quality people you mentioned even interested in doing this, we have to put something out there that makes it beneficial to them. So increasing this, I'm not in opposition. I think it's a plus. And that's one area we really need some high quality people. We don't mess around and get the lowest people on the fire department. So I'm in favor of this. I think it's a good idea. And the way the investor presented it, it's a new trend that's kind of going across the state as far as your Firemen's Relief Association, and I think it's a good thing. So.
Do you guys have any idea roughly how many hours, the average hours are put in a year?
Chief? You know me, once it's 897 Circle Drive. You know, on the average, with the 36 guys, they average probably anywhere from $400 to probably $700 per man year in their wages. And again, like these guys we just hired on here, they started in January, and they didn't get done with their training until like June 20th. So that's 6 months that they took out, and they got $7 an hour to take off from their families, their work, and this and that. It was Saturdays, Sundays. It takes a lot more commitment than what it used to. You know, and we looked at the wage increase, you know, and I did a little bit of figuring with the budget, you know, and it'd probably double. I think the guys are more content with going towards retirement. We've never had a problem in Little Falls getting recruitment or retention. They usually stick around when something comes up with their job or family issues or whatever. We've been very fortunate. And like the mayor said, you know, we have a lot of people that are knocking on their doors. We can start looking at, you know, maybe some of the townships we can look at, you know, contributing. I know the city contributes $8,000 per year right now. So yeah, they're not getting rich. They're not even breaking even. But you know.
Well, you know, the ironic thing is when we were doing those interviews, there wasn't a single one that said, well, when we asked why they want on there, not even a single one said, well, I'm looking for a little extra cash. Every one of them said, well, we always wanted to be a fireman. My dad was a fireman. You know, things like that. So it's obviously not.
Yeah, we kind of stress that with them too. I mean, you know, we said at the end of the interview, we said, you know, hey, this isn't a get-rich job. You know, you're here to serve the community. And needless to say, the 6 guys that we did hire, they're doing an awesome job. I mean, the guys are really good. So we did a good job on that.
Sure.
Yes.
years. There's a tail to this as well. I mean, if investments go down and you get underfunded, the city's on the hook, taxpayers on the hook. That happened for the last 5 years. And we had to come up with about $124,000 in those 5 years. It's about $20,000, $30,000 a year that we had to come up with because we were underfunded. No investments have been good. So they do have a little cushion because you got that 103%. So that's a good thing too. What happened in Brainerd, different, more than double the amount that you're talking about here. And they've gone up even more than that now.
They're at $87.50 per man year right now.
Some dollars because their investments came roaring way back up. But they actually, the Relief Association actually came in and lowered their pension for a while, lowered that pension amount. So it's just something to think about. I'm not going to be around very much longer, but it's just something for the rest of you when you're out pretty new at this. I mean, there's a little bit of a tail to it. It wouldn't surprise me that if investments went down, market hasn't been very good lately. A group like this would come back and say, hey, maybe we got to do something a little different here. So they're residents, they're local people, they do a great job. Just something to think about. I mean, if the investment, the ratio gets like 85–80%, I mean, that's when you start thinking, holy cow, that's a pretty big unfunded accrued liability. The only issue you have is that, I mean, everybody, all 36 of you are on an airplane, you have a problem. I mean, that's when you've got the liability exposure. Otherwise, it's little bits at a time. Person's going to retire, then you won't have any retirements for 2–3 years, and then one person will retire. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know there is a tail in this. It kind of lags a little bit here too. So just for full disclosure.
Yes, and you're exactly right. I mean, in 2008, I think when the market did crash, I think the city contributed more than $8,000 per man year. And it was probably 2–3 years after that. But if you look at the big picture, where over the years, I mean, we've been very, we haven't had a lot of that. I mean, that's what happened. It does happen. I'm not saying it can't happen again. But I think if we look at we did our numbers, and if we go to,
we'd have to have a deficit of about $150,000 before the city would be required to contribute more than the $8,000 that we currently do. So it's quite a swing. We're leaving ourselves with a cushion of about $35,000 or $40,000.
And I believe our last raise was in 2008. And at that time we were invested in State Board of Investments and Edward Jones. The Edward Jones account did fine, but the state boards just plummeted. So that's when we pulled all our assets out of both of those and went with this Par Financial Group, which takes care of 65 relief associations. And ever since then, we've been gradually climbing, and they seem to have a bit. Their investments were much better than the SBI investments, but I'll tell you that. And then, with the additional Fort Ripley Township, that 2% should increase. Probably not drastically, but that's a pretty stable source of funding. In 2015, we had $76,582 in state aid dollars, and that should increase a little bit anyways with the addition of Fort Ripley Township.
Is that always lag behind, so you add them this year and that will affect that number next year?
yes. And what had happened too is it wasn't only stock market crash, it was our 2% money too, because a lot of housing was in foreclosure, so we didn't get as much 2% money as we did. That probably went down by $20–$30,000 in that time period there. So we took a hit, we took a double hit actually.
Not saying that it can't happen.
No, we're not saying that.
So, Dan, the reason they can get by with the $7 an hour without being minimum wage is because it's a volunteer type position?
They're exempt from that.
So that's what I know what they do, minimum wage, and obviously they're not there before, but that's what I know.
Yeah.
As far as that.
Not doing it for the hourly.
Right.
No. If you look at the sheet that we handed out here, you can kind of see the wages that they're making, and I guess,
Oh.
it definitely affects the budget if we would go up to 12, 14 hours.
probably should be enough to pick up a combo meal after you're done, though, right?
Yeah. Get lucky.
Any other questions?
Yeah, it's on the regular, is it on it?
It'll be on your next,
I think
next.
17th is when I would go for a roll.
So if you guys have any
If you
questions,
get- yeah.
feel free to call any one of us.
You can add it tonight if you want. Or you can wait till the 17th, it's up to you.
What's the question thing? Add it or wait? Is there a big hurry on it for you guys or?
Nope.
Just, we don't have to come back on 17th.
Right. You guys want to add it?
I think leave it as is.
Gonna leave it?
We've always talked about being careful to add things to the agenda, and when it involves financial, maybe we should take the time and speak to public, yes, and input or comments. I support it 100%, there's no rush on it.
Yeah, there's no rushes.
No, no, let's take time. Like I said, if you get any questions, you can hold me and Mike and Craig or any one of the, we got 3 other trustees on the board, so get some answers for you. So if citizens have some questions too, they can certainly get those. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Minnesota Department of Transportation, Trunk Highway 27 improvements. Right?
Yeah, this item is included in your regular meeting agenda on page 17, which is 9B. I got a phone call from MnDOT that indicated that their project that they're looking at doing on 27, which goes from 10th Street west to 9th Street east, they're looking at doing a mill and inlay, if you recall. They've basically been able to reprogram it so that instead of doing it in 2019, they're looking at doing this in 2018. To give you kind of an idea of some of our utilities underneath that stretch, our water main between 3rd Street and 1st Street on the west side of town is in the early 1900s. We don't have exact dates on it. It's in that early 1900s, between 1900 and 1910. From Front Street to 1st Street on the east side of town, again, that is in the 1900s. And then from 8th Street to 9th Street, where we've had some issues in terms of water main breaks, that was constructed in 1949. The sanitary sewer in that project segment, from 4th Street to 1st Street, again, about 1900s vintage. Wood Street to 1st Street east is right in front of the post office there. That's in the 1900s vintage as well. And then from 7th Street to 9th Street is between 1968 and 1949. They did one block 1 year and one block the next year. In addition to that, we've got 2 crossings that we would like to update. So essentially, I'd like to take advantage of what MnDOT is doing in terms of the bituminous, to try to minimize the costs that are associated with the city's portion of it. But I'd like to write a letter to MnDOT indicating to them that we'd like to have them to upscope their project so that they know that we're interested in doing the utilities underneath, so they can plan that into their timeline for construction. Right now, we're looking at preliminary estimates of about $1.2 million for the construction cost of the utilities. We still have to work out, if there's any curb replacement or anything like that with MnDOT yet. But we're looking at it, obviously a sizable project. But we want to get this on their radar so that they can at least accommodate us if we decide to go down that path with these utility replacements. This is kind of the first step in doing it. Obviously, if we're looking at doing these utilities, we can go through the Chapter 429 process with feasibility reports and the assessment process. But I want to get it on their radar so that they know that we're at least interested, so that we can move down that road if need be.
Mr. President, Greg, then this would alleviate some concerns of some phone calls I've had where some of the downtown people said that they thought it was going to be torn up and then covered and then torn up again. And
no.
So so that way we get it all done at one time.
Correct, yes.
Which would alleviate that issue. And then another one, I don't know who all received the email from someone who was trading emails with MnDOT who wanted to go back to the 4 lanes instead of the turn lane and MnDOT, the way I understood it, pretty much said they aren't going that way anywhere. If anything, they're switching from the 4 lanes to the turn lane. So is that what you understood also?
That's correct, yep. And by including this in MnDOT's project, you eliminate that first concern that you had where it gets torn up and then it gets put back and then it gets torn up again. This would be let under one contract through MnDOT, and you'd have one contractor responsible for the underground as well as the paving. They may have subcontractors in there, but it would be all under one contract to manage the project.
So MnDOT would be the leader on that then?
MnDOT would be in charge of the construction administration, yes. They would like to have us do the inspection on our portion of it, but the contracts in terms of the progress payments and such would go through MnDOT.
Do they take care of the engineering fees too?
Nope. We would do the engineering on the utilities, and they would give them our plans to insert into their project.
Well, the way I look at it, a mill and inlay is actually a pretty simple project, right?
Yes.
I mean, they just grind off the top and put another layer down, so we're talking,
Correct.
as long as they're gonna mill it, we're gonna ask them to just pull it all up.
True, true, yes. Now, at least pay for the blacktop that they were planning on paying for it. So that's included tonight. Item 9B under new business for consideration.
Well, Greg, that's part of our long-term plan, replacing some of this aging infrastructure that we have, rather than have to do that whole project, have something go kafooey along there, and then end up tearing it up and fixing it again.
Right, and that's some of the oldest pipe in town. It's right at Bank Square, just on the other side of the tracks.
And our history with some of those.
In our history with some of those, we've had a water main break actually service break over there last summer, and then they've had some water main breaks on the west side of town as well. Once across the bridge going from west to east, you know, that concrete patch, that was a water main break there. The same pipe was in that location that broke. So it's had a history of some problems, and it's time that it gets replaced.
Yeah, Jerry?
I have a comment. Can I step up? I'm Jerry Drellick, 73 East Broadway, Drellick Insurance. We've had a couple meetings with Greg in the past regarding this Highway 27 project. Business association members, we also met with Greg at a regular meeting. My concerns are that if MnDOT was also at my business, there was 5 guys out there. 3 with clipboards, 1 with a level, 1 just, I don't know. Anyway, I asked them what they were doing. And they said, well, we're looking at changing the sidewalks for ADA compliance. I said, well, my sidewalk was just poured about 6 years ago. I jackhammered it up, poured it. It met guidelines. He said, well, we're going to be changing sidewalks possibly next year. I said, well, if you're talking about changing the sidewalk next year, and you're going to rebuild the highway in 2 years, who's going to dig underneath that sidewalk to hook up these utilities? Why are you going to pour new sidewalks next year and then try to put utilities in on your new sidewalk? You just want it to collapse, crack, and who's paying for all that? Well, the MnDOT guys tell me the sidewalk's going to be paid for by gas tax. That's what they told me. It won't cost the business people anything. As far as utilities, I'm sure we're going to get assessed for that.
Most likely.
But I said, where's the common sense coming here? Why would you jackhammer my sidewalk up next year and then come back 2 years later and try to dig under it to give me new water and sewer? What's that about? So that's why we've had these meetings. We've talked about other things, one-way options, parking on one side of the street. I'm totally against the one-way traffic in front of my business. You're going to have one-way traffic in front of my business, whether you're going to park the people on Dr. Miller's side of the street or my side of the street. Downtown traffic, the way we have it now, the people can park, they can come to our businesses. I don't have a problem with it. But the thing of it is, I believe a one-way street, parking on one side of the street only, it's going to hamper our business. And I just want it to be known that I do not favor any one-way traffic in front of my business. And I really want the council to take action on this thing here that putting in sidewalks next year and doing highway in 18 doesn't make no sense. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Mr.
So,
President,
yeah, Greg?
if I may address Jerry, some of your comments there. Originally, MnDOT was thinking of doing it in 2016. That got pushed back to 2018 with this project.
Okay.
So it'll be all at one time. In regards to the one-way traffic, you remember that meeting that we had? The largest vote getter, if you will, or concern that the residents had along there was the age of the utilities and the railroad.
Okay.
And so what we're looking at is, updating the utilities, and essentially leaving the road as it is today. There may be some addition in terms of bike lanes or something like that in some specific location where the MRT, the bike route goes through, but for the most part, it will be similar to what you see currently today.
And no parkettes.
Not at this point, correct?
Okay. A parkette's like having a deck taking up the spot of a car or in front of your business.
Right.
Thanks.
Yep.
We got any other questions for Greg on that one?
We'd send you a letter like you're talking about to MnDOT, and push the sidewalks back, but it would just let them know that we want to do that. So if they're thinking of moving it back, they could see that would work well.
In
Is that
terms
what-
the
letting them know we want to do utilities, so they
Yes,
don't mess with something like that again?
They've already indicated they're not doing their sidewalk project next year. They've already put that off. They're gonna wrap it into this project in 2018. But in terms of allowing us to get in there to do our utilities, that's what this letter will allow us to do. Because right now, they're thinking it's just strictly a mill and inlay, with obviously pedestrian ADA improvements, but no utilities at this point in time. But we would like to include that just because of the timing, surface improvements. It makes sense that if you're gonna do the surface improvements, we do the underground as well.
We have a lot of early 1900 piping left beyond this.
First Street would be the next section that we'd be looking at.
Anybody else got any other questions?
Yes, does the city have any input as to the ultimate job that'll be done on Highway 27, or is that something MnDOT is just gonna do on their own?
We'll be able to look at their plans and, review it, but ultimately MnDOT's gonna be paying for it, so they're gonna be putting the bill on it.
But as far as the one-way aspect with parking on one side, can we veto that?
That was never brought up from MnDOT. That was basically ideas that were thrown out there. What do we want to see as a town to go to MnDOT with it? So MnDOT doesn't want to necessarily see that aspect of it. It was more to gain input from property owners. What do they want to see along there? So that's where those all came from.
Okay, moving on, Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development shovel-ready sites. Grant, Tori?
Yes, the city's EDA met, and at our last meeting, we discussed a new program, or a fairly new program that DEED has called shovel-ready sites. And what shovel-ready sites is that the cities or entities can provide them with information for parcels of land or areas of land that we have that is for sale, especially for economic development or industrial development. We have to provide them, information as far as survey information, what kind of utilities are there, where they are, who owns the property, aerial photos and different things, of which we have a majority of that stuff. We'll have to do some work to put the balance of it together. And then we'll provide the information to DEED. It'll get posted on a website, and then people or businesses that are out looking for places to build, places to move, have easier access of getting some of this information, and it's all kind of in one spot to do this. So there's a cost of, I believe, $3,250 or $3,500, I forget which, for each site that you want to list on the shovel-ready sites. The Town 101 group is recommending that we list the Chief Hole in the Day site as a shovel-ready site. The Town 101 group has agreed to pay for half of the cost, and at the EDA meeting they discussed it, and the EDA then would pay for the other half of the cost to list this as a shovel-ready site. So we just wanted to make you aware of it, that this, you know, we're gonna go forward with this process, and with the Town 101 group funding a portion of the cost, and then hopefully we'll get some activity and interest in the sites.
Any questions on that one? Concerns?
Mr. President, I believe, isn't the school is also doing that with some of theirs? That was
I don't know for
gonna go
sure if
to a
they
vote.
are, but I know they've talked
Yeah,
about
they
it.
were
So I-
gonna go to a vote on that, I believe, like, Ms. McCarroll had said, so.
Yeah, and their property basically abuts the chief Holiday property.
Right, and the other part of that is, I think it ties in well with the new community development website, because we can list all of that information on there, and I think it'll be a asset for the community for opportunities for economic development, and definitely in this community.
So now how does that list? It says 32 or 3,500, whatever per listing. So you just list the whole Chief Golden Day, or you?
Correct, and we would list that whole area,
That whole
all that
section
whole
with the lot-
development,
lot
right? And
numbers.
so it's all the lots are there, the utilities, surveys, you know, who they contact for building permits, you know, zoning information, all of that stuff will be listed together. And, you know, a lot of businesses that are out looking for places, you know, we have we have a fairly large area, a lot of acreage out there, which is you know, an asset. I mean, there are some places that look for larger pieces of property, so they can see that it's there. Hopefully we'll get some interest in it.
Right, well, that's what I know, there's 10, 15 lots, whatever's up there. If it's 3,500 per lot, you can list one lot type of deal, or it's
Yeah, no, we can list the whole
whole
development.
survey.
Yeah, the whole
How long is it for? Is it that much per year?
No, it's a one-time fee from what I understand, so.
Any other questions? Water treatment capital improvement plan?
What I'm trying to pass around while I'm talking, this is the filter media from our current plan. This is what new media. So as I'm talking, you can kind of look at those two. Right now, what we're looking at, just to kind of give you an idea of what we've talked about in the past, both at our water treatment plant and our wastewater plant, we're going to be looking at improvements at both facilities. This particular one is for the water plant. We're looking at essentially 3 different phases for that facility. The first phase would be the filter media. That's what takes all the particles out of the water and makes it basically safe for us to drink. Normally, with the media or the filter, it lasts about 20 years. This media has been in place for about 17 years now, so it's getting close to the end of its lifespan. And as you can imagine, as the filter is in place over time, it starts to plug and get stuff in there. The indicator, if you will, for that is called a backwash rate. If you think about it, when as it's in its normal process, water comes from the top and drains through it by gravity through the top. The particles are caught up on top or in through it and slowly start to plug that media. As it plugs, it's slower to go through it, so you can see that it needs to be backwashed. The way that we backwash it is we take water, pump it from the bottom, push it back up, and then it goes out to be disposed of. When we look at how often we have to backwash that tells us how plugged the media is starting to come. What you'll notice on that first one, which is more of the whiter type of material, is that it's getting coated in what's called calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is the same type of material that seashells are made of. So this material is building around the media, making it bigger and bigger, and reducing the amount of water that we can drain through there and clean. The normal backwash rate is about 10 gallons per minute. Right now, we're seeing anywhere between 2 and 5. So we can tell from the indicator that it's getting close to time to remove that stuff and then replace it. This picture here is actually of our one of the filter cells. When that media starts to plug or the diffusers start to plug on the bottom, you get what are called mud balls. Basically, that's the stuff that it takes out of the water. Normally, they're about the size of a softball, and you can dig them out and throw them away. This one here was about 2 feet in diameter. So we've got a couple of them in there that were plugged. And the reason that it gets plugged is because that calcium carbonate, as it builds up on the media, it also builds up on the diffusers underneath. So it builds up, starts plugging some of these holes. You can't clean it. By not cleaning it, you can't drain the water through it, which means it's not filtering the water as efficiently as it should. This is a picture of the diffusers. You can see on the bottom, there's those little holes right there. That's what gets plugged with that calcium carbonate, and essentially reduces the amount of water that you can backwash to it, so that you can't clean it. Roughly speaking, this particular phase, we're looking at about $2 million improvement over there. We have 2 more, one for the following year in 2017, and one in 2018 to get the plant kind of where it should be. But the first phase, just because of timing and cost, is right around that $2 million mark in terms of construction. I did invite a representative from SCH to be at our meeting next month to kind of discuss the improvements at the wastewater treatment plant, as well as our capital improvement plan over there that we're looking at.
You got any questions for Greg on that one?
I will point out, before we go on to the next item, with all of the expenditures that we're going to be looking at the 2 plants, I would encourage anyone on the council, if they want to take a tour of the 2 plants, just to see what it is that we're seeing there today and what we want to update. Let me know. We can get a tour set up of those plants, so you can actually see firsthand what we're talking about in terms of the needs and the improvements that we're going to be making to it.
Any questions? Wastewater treatment facility plan?
The wastewater treatment facility plan is included on page 15 of your regular agenda, as you recall. Last meeting, we talked about that briefly. We did get a proposal from SEH to do the facility plan on it. I did include a table of the recent facility plans that they had completed. I invited Colin Markson from SEH if you have any specific questions for him. Looking at page 15 in that table of costs associated with them, you can see they range anywhere from $50,000 to $70,000 for facility plans, and they're about the same size of Little Falls. One thing that I'll point out, I did speak with Brandon Public Utilities. They recently conducted an upgrade to their treatment plant. Theirs is a much bigger site than ours. There's about 6 million gallons was their treatment capacity. And they were in 2004, their facility plan was just over $100,000. So if you back that out to say apples to apples, that was about 1.7 cents per gallon, whereas we're at 2.35 cents per gallon in terms of the fee. So looking at that, the fee is comparable to what other firms are looking at charging for facility plans.
Any questions?
I just have a question that kind of deals with the last one and this one. I know there's things going into the wastewater or the water treatment improvement fund all the time.
Sure.
What are their balances? Are they going to be sufficient to take care of the media and other things after it? Is there money sitting there for that?
I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I know that there's less than $2 million in the water fund, and I think the wastewater improvement has a lesser amount in it. So, no, we don't have the funds available right now, depending on when we do this project. It's possible we could maybe do some rural water funding, do some bonds, there a form of bond that we can do through Minnesota rural water and paper water and sewer improvements, but I'll have to look at that.
Any other questions? Utility bill inserts, Town 101, all right?
Yes, again, at the EDA meeting, Town 101 approached the city and we brought this to the EDA. They wanted to do an insert in our utility bills. We had done one there was a subgroup of Town 101 that had requested we do a utility bill insert, and that was dealt with city ordinances, just to kind of update people on, you know, keeping your animals, dogs and cats under control, that you needed permits to do specific things. Pardon? Oh, the long grass, weeds, snow removal, that kind of stuff. So that kind of dealt with city ordinances and city issues that we did as a stuffer in the water bills. So now this group of the Town 101 that deals with economic development, they have requested that we do a stuffer in the utility bills as well. So this is the stuffer, it's in your work session packet that they proposed that we include in our utility bills. EDA looked at it, and Greg can certainly comment, but I believe the EDA was in favor of us including this with our utility bills because town, you know, the city is affiliated with the Town 101 group, a way for businesses or people that receive the bills to kind of know that there are options as far as looking for jobs and different economic development tools that we have.
Yeah, I would say the way I understood it was it's not benefiting really a business. You know, we don't want to start advertising, so-and-so needs 6 employees. But as far as this is more of the recruitment of businesses and also letting the public know that there, you know, we do have a workforce center here that can help you if you're looking for a job. And then it does mention the Social Security disability. If you'd like to get off or transition. So, you know, I can understand concerns. You know, one thing that I said as I'm on this committee is, you know, if you're going to start throwing one in every week, it's going to be like certain things that come in the mail. The first thing we do is pull it out and ditch it. So that would be a concern that we don't have something in every one. But and also I understand if people are concerned that, you know, we're crossing the line by dealing with jobs and business. But I think it's for the benefit of the community. But
It's like you said, it's not a specific business, it's just, and actually, the one about social security disability, I mean, with a question today, and I was able to say, well, what? So I haven't read that. Let them know to stop up there.
You know, this is more a service to the people, so.
yeah.
How much extra work is that?
It's
I mean, it
not-
seems benign to me, but is it
Yeah.
really? I mean, or is somebody spending a lot of time folding an extra piece of paper?
No, we have a machine that folds
Okay.
and stuffs our utility bills, so the only, yeah, it's just that it takes a little bit longer for the machine to fold 2 pieces of paper and stuff them than one, but it isn't, it's not significant.
To me, provided it's not a burden, I think it's a
Yeah.
good way to communicate.
And there's no extra postage because you
Right.
get sheets for stamps.
Right.
We got any questions, concerns? Wages, part-time and seasonal employees, Lori?
So on the agenda tonight, I believe we have a resolution for the part-time seasonal pay. It is on page 18 of your packet. With the increase in the minimum wage, we looked at that. Many of our summer employees, our part-time employees out at the golf course, were starting at $8.13 an hour, I believe, and moving up from there. The minimum wage, August 1, went up to $9 an hour. So this pay scale that's attached, it would be our new pay scale for the part-time employees. We made some modifications to it. The old pay scale, there wasn't between pay grades, the percentage between pay grades kind of was in a spread of like 10.5 to 11.5%. So I just changed the pay grade so that the spread between the minimum step in the pay grade is 10%, and then left the increase between steps at 2.25%. So this would be the adjustment to the pay grades. On the back side, I listed the employees, what their old salary is, what the new salary would be. We would slot them in at the same pay grade and step that they're currently at. And so some of them are, you know, gonna go to $9 an hour, some will be more than that, but the average increase is between 87 and, 87 cents an hour and $1.05 an hour. Minimum wage goes up again next August, so then we'll have to take a look at this pay scale and adjust it for that as well.
Any questions for Lori on that one?
I'm just glad to see that there was adjustments along the line, because anytime in most businesses, when the minimum wage goes up, we always have the employee that was making $9.05 and was with the company for 3 years, and now somebody starts today and they're 5 cents below. So I'm glad to see that there was an increase.
It just seemed like the fair thing to do,
Anybody got anything under other?
Yes, a couple of things that I've been hearing things about. What happened to our no smoking in the park? I've heard complaints about lots of cigarette butts anywhere. And secondly, what's happened to our speed limit sign, our electronic speed sign?
These no smoking signs are up, or the tobacco-free signs are up in the parks. I saw them last week. The electronic speed sign, I'm not sure where that's at. I'll find out.
Well, the one we had was actually the pier sign, wasn't it?
It wasn't, but we got one, we paid half, and I think the school district paid half. Where that one's at, I'm not sure. If Craig's still waiting on the software to program it, or what's the deal with it?
Greg will be here at regular meeting, so certainly ask him what he gives us annual report.
But that no smoking deal, that's basically requesting people not to smoke.
Correct.
It's not gonna go out and get a $150 fine, like not wearing a seatbelt for smoking in the parks.
And those signs are up.
Any other questions or concerns?
I got the quick tour today of the water plant. If you haven't been in there, go see it.
Pretty amazing. No, stand adjourned to 7:30.